You are 14 years old. It is minus 11 degrees outside. The radiator in your bedroom makes a sound like a dying engine. Your apartment is in a suburb of Saint Petersburg that nobody outside of Russia has ever heard of and nobody inside Russia is particularly proud of. 3 floors up, thin walls. Your mother is asleep. Your father is watching football in the other room with the volume low because the neighbors complain. And you are at your desk writing a script. Not for school. Not for anything anyone asked you to do. You're writing it because the state has blocked the gaming servers you need, and you've decided that's a problem you can solve yourself. Takes you less time than you expected. You find a backdoor inside the regional ISP's network. Not a crack. A door, wide open, like someone built a wall and forgot to put a lock on the service entrance. You slip through. The connection opens. You leave it running for your friends, Kolya, Dmitry, the twins from the floor below, because why wouldn't you? They treat you like a legend for 2 weeks. You eat it up. Of course you do. You're 14. Pride is the most dangerous thing you can feel at 14 because it doesn't come with a warning label. But here is the thing nobody tells you about breaking locks that big. When you open a door from the inside, you never know who is standing on the other side, watching. The forums find you before you find them. You're 16 hours into an encrypted Telegram channel. Real one, buried, not the kind your classmates use to share exam answers, and you drop a piece of code. Nothing major, just enough to prove you belong in the conversation. You've been reading for weeks. You know how these people talk. You know what impresses them. What you don't know is how good the code actually is, because the older users notice. And then a user with a blank Cyrillic handle that has posted exactly 0 public messages in 3 years notices. The private message arrives at 2:47 a.m. Inside is a custom-built exploit tool, military grade, the kind of architecture you've never seen outside of academic papers you weren't supposed to have access to. Clean, elegant, terrifying in the way that only something very powerful and very controlled can be terrifying. You run it. Of course you run it. You're 14 months past the ISP backdoor and your ego has grown faster than your caution. You tell yourself it's curiosity, and it is. It's just that curiosity at this altitude is the first step onto a geopolitical chessboard that you have no idea you're standing on. They give you tests, small ones first. A minor European website defaced and restored before morning. A poorly secured municipal server, scraped and wiped clean. The rules are stated once and never repeated. Never target Russian infrastructure. Never ask who is paying. Never leave fingerprints. You leave no fingerprints. The first payment arrives in Monero. Untraceable. The amount sits on your screen and you stare at it for a long time because it is more than your father makes in a year, and you earned it between dinner and midnight from a desk in a bedroom that smells like cheap instant noodles. You tell yourself this is just another game. A harder one, with real stakes, but still just a game. It isn't a game. It never was. But the money feels real, and 15-year-olds trust what feels real. The targets change. You don't ask why. That's one of the rules. Western energy grids, municipal water systems, financial databases. The malware you're handed grows more complex with each assignment, the kind of code that takes teams of engineers months to build, handed to you like a routine task with a quiet deadline. Your crypto wallets fill. You can't spend the money without triggering questions you can't answer, so it just sits there, accumulating. A number on a screen that represents a version of freedom you're not allowed to access. At school, you are unremarkable, quiet, average grades. Nobody looks twice. At home, behind a laptop with 3 layers of encryption and a VPN chain routed through 4 countries, you are something else entirely. You are the most dangerous teenager in a room nobody knows exists. You think you're pulling the strings. That is the last thing you believe that turns out to be completely wrong. They don't knock. They pull up in an unmarked black vehicle on a Tuesday afternoon on a street you've walked 1,000 times. 2 men, civilian clothes, the kind of faces that are specifically designed to be forgettable. The building they take you to is brutalist concrete in the way that says function over everything. No signs, no lobby art, a room with 1 table, 2 chairs, and a file folder thick enough to be a novel. Your novel, your chats, your code, your real name attached to every pseudonym you thought was bulletproof. They've been watching for years, grooming you, testing you. Every exploit you ran, every forum post, every payment received, logged, analyzed, attributed. You thought you were building a reputation in the shadows. You were building a dossier in a government archive. The ultimatum is simple: serve, or disappear into a Siberian penal colony for decades. And they don't say your family's name. They don't have to. The implication sits in the room like a third person. You sign. From this moment, your life is not about talent. It's about survival. And survival at this level looks exactly like obedience. The facility looks like a tech company. Glass doors, keycards, a cafeteria with hot food, People who don't make eye contact because eye contact is a habit you train yourself out of when everyone around you is a state asset. You execute coordinated attacks on global infrastructure alongside dozens of silent peers. Ransomware that locks hospitals out of patient records at 3 a.m. disinformation campaigns seeded into foreign election cycles. Infrastructure attacks timed to diplomatic pressure points. You follow orders. You don't ask what happens after. You receive a luxury apartment, an elite stipend, status that exists only inside the walls of a classified operation. Your passport is confiscated on the second week and never returned. You are a prisoner. The cage is nicer than most people's apartments, and the door is still locked from the outside, and the word for what you are, regardless of the furniture, is still the same word. The relocation happens without warning. New facility. A closed military city buried so deep inside Russia's interior that it appears on no public map. They take your phone, your belongings, your name. Then they take something worse. Over the following weeks, your digital existence is systematically deleted. School records, tax identification, social media, every trace of the person you were before the unmarked car on the Tuesday afternoon street. Gone. Not deactivated. Erased. To the Russian Federation, officially, you no longer exist. You are a ghost. And at first, being a ghost feels like immunity. It feels like the ultimate protection. No name means no target. No record means no trail. But immunity and solitary confinement look identical from the inside. And the silence, eventually, becomes the loudest thing you've ever heard. You are 20 years old. You have access to more stolen money than most people will see in a lifetime. You cannot buy a train ticket home. You cannot call your mother. You cannot send a message that isn't monitored and logged and analyzed by the same people who own you. You run massive international cyber operations from a windowless room. You know what you've done to hospitals, to elections, to ordinary people in countries you've never visited whose systems you've dismantled from a desk in a facility that doesn't exist on any map. You don't feel it at first. Numbness is the survival mechanism. And then one night, in a room smaller than your childhood bedroom, the numbness starts to crack. And what's underneath isn't guilt exactly. It's the specific loneliness of a person who has been erased by the machine they serve. You decide to look behind the curtain. One more hack. The last one that matters. The one pointed not at a foreign grid, but at your own agency's classified internal servers. Takes you 6 weeks of careful preparation. You move slowly, methodically, no fingerprints. One of the rules they taught you now used against them. Inside the FSB archive, you find your own file. And inside your file, you find a death certificate, issued 2 years ago. Cause of death, motor vehicle accident, closed casket. The paperwork is official, stamped, filed in the appropriate municipal registry of your hometown district. You keep scrolling. There are surveillance photographs. Your mother standing at a grave, flowers in her hands. The grave is yours. The grave is a prop. A stage set. Your family has been grieving a fabricated death for 2 years while you've been 40 minutes away by train, inside a facility that doesn't officially exist, dismantling foreign democracies from a windowless room. The fear in that moment doesn't spike. It doesn't feel like panic. It turns to ice. Cold, clear, and very, very still. Because this is no longer about serving the state. This is about something else entirely. You spend 4 months building the most important system of your life. Terabytes of classified material, source codes, operative identities, internal communications between state intelligence and private hacking units, financial records linking anonymous attacks to official directives. Everything. You build a decentralized, encrypted dead man's switch connected to 14 major news organizations across 8 countries. If you fail to send a check-in signal every 72 hours, everything goes live simultaneously. You funnel cryptocurrency through 43 tumblers into a cold wallet stored on hardware you've hidden in a location nobody has mapped. You transform yourself from a disposable asset into something the Russian state cannot afford to kill. Because dead men, it turns out, can still pull triggers. And now there is only one step left. You leave on a Thursday. You've studied the facility's physical and digital security rotations for 3 months. There is a window of 11 minutes where the overlap between 2 camera systems creates a gap the size of a doorway. You walk through it. You trigger a localized network blackout timed to cover the first 15 minutes of your extraction. You don't run. Running is surveillance footage. You walk, normal pace, civilian clothes, no bag, bags draw eyes. The border crossing takes 31 hours through terrain cold enough to feel like punishment. You cross into a neutral country on a Tuesday morning, frostbitten, carrying nothing but forged documents and a hardware wallet containing enough untraceable crypto to build a quiet life somewhere nobody is looking. You stand on the other side of the border. You think about the boy at the desk, 14 years old, minus 11 degrees, writing a script to access a gaming server. That boy would not recognize what you've become. The question is whether what you've become can find its way back to him. You go home. You know it's dangerous. You go anyway. Some calculations are not made with logic. You travel under a forged identity through 3 transit countries. You arrive in your hometown at 1:40 a.m. snow on the ground. The street empty. The apartment block exactly as it was, which means the world didn't stop when you disappeared inside the machine. It just kept going without you. 3rd floor, 2nd window from the left. The lamp is on. Your mother always kept a lamp on. She kept it on because, and you know this without being told, she never entirely believed the grave. You knock, the door opens, and the geopolitical war, all of it, the servers, the classified archives, the dead man's switch, the terabytes of state secrets, goes completely, entirely silent. Because your mother's face is doing something. It isn't collapsing. It isn't emptying. It's coming back. You get them out within 6 weeks. New documents, new names, a city on another continent that has no reason to look for any of you. You pick it partly for its obscurity and partly because it has a good transit system and a neighborhood market that stays open late. You work a cash job, manual work, the kind where your hands are useful and your mind is not. You leave no digital footprint, no social media, no bank accounts in your name, no presence on any network anywhere. You build a life out of ordinary things. Dinner at a table, the sound of your family moving through rooms, your mother's lamp in a new window, in a different country, glowing the same way it always did. You are 22 years old. You have shut down power grids. You have broken election cycles. You have held the secrets of a nuclear state inside an encrypted dead man's switch. You have been erased and forged and rebuilt 3 times. And the thing that saves you is not a hack. It is a lamp in a window, and a door that opens. Here is what they don't tell you about power. The people who give it to you never intend for you to keep it. You are code to them. You are a tool that runs until it breaks. And when it breaks, you don't get repaired. You get deleted and replaced with a newer build. The state didn't see a person when they watched you in that ISP backdoor at 14 years old. They saw an asset, a capability, a vulnerability they could exploit before someone else did. You were never the hacker. You were always the system being hacked. And the only way out wasn't a more sophisticated exploit. It was unplugging, not from the internet, from the machine that convinced you that power meant anything at all. You didn't win by becoming undefeatable. You won by becoming irrelevant, by becoming the kind of person that intelligence agencies have no file on because there's nothing they're worth classifying. An ordinary man, in an ordinary apartment, with a lamp in the window, and nothing, not a single thing worth hacking.